Welcome to Behind the Curtain, Nashville's Movers, Shakers,
and Tastemakers.
Brought to you by Curt Real Estate, your key to the heart of Nashville. I'm Steve Luther alongside my co-host Van Hohe.
Here we peel back the layers of Nashville's vibrant scene, sitting down with the innovators, creators, and leaders who shape our city. From music to business and everything in between, we dive into the journeys that have brought them to where they are today.
We're here to uncover the stories behind the success, the passion driving their pursuits, and why they've chosen Nashville as their stage. It's about the people who dream big, push boundaries, and make this city truly unique.
So join us as we explore the heart and soul of Nashville through the eyes of those who know it best.
Well, today we are thrilled to welcome Doris Dunn, president and founder of Dunn Wise Consulting, a leadership and business coaching firm based in Nashville. With over 30 years of corporate experience, Doris has built a reputation for transforming visions into business realities. Before launching Dunn Wise, she held executive roles in learning and development, marketing, and community relations, leading initiatives that strengthen culture, engagement, and brand alignment for companies like Farmers Insurance and Velocity Risk. Through Dunn Wise, Doris now helps small and medium-sized businesses unlock growth through personalized coaching, disc facilitation, mastermind programs, and leadership development workshops. She's also the co-host of Leaderish, Leadership Lessons Straight Up podcast, where they and their guests explore the real-world dynamics of leadership in today's evolving workplace. Doris is known for her insightful and practical approach, helping leaders align purpose with performance and building thriving, resilient teams. Doris, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I am so excited to be here.
I like that. Leader-ish.
Leader-ish. Yes. I can't take credit for the title, but I love our podcast. We have so much fun on it. And Regina and I, sometimes we do it just the two of us, and sometimes we have guests.
I love it.
So tell me how you got started with Dunn Wise. You were in the corporate world for quite some time.
I was in the corporate world for quite many decades, over 35 decades. And I started in the
35 decades.
That's a long life. It felt like a really long time.
You look amazing for your age.
Yeah, I shouldn't try to make myself that old. Okay.
350 years.
350 years, yes.
That's impressive.
I do look really, really good for being 350 years old. Anyway, I started in the insurance industry.
7 years ago.
Started in the insurance industry. And honestly, I started in the learning and development phase of my life way before I was in corporate. I loved learning and development. I loved teaching and training. And I started as a Red Cross volunteer back when I was 14 years old, and started teaching third and fourth graders first aid when I was 14, as well as being a candy striper in a local hospital in the Detroit metro area. So I really loved helping people get their aha moments and teaching them, maybe thinking of things that they hadn't thought of before, or looking at whatever I was teaching, whether it was in the corporate world or the non-corporate world, and getting people to think differently than they had thought before I helped them.
Very cool.
So what took you into launching Dunn Wise?
When I left Velocity, I knew that I didn't want to go back into the corporate world. And because I had done so much learning and development, I knew that I wanted to do something in that space. I wasn't 100% sure about coaching, but I met people that were in that coaching world and decided to go in that direction, became a certified business coach, and sort of hung my shingle a couple of years ago. And I've been helping clients ever since then.
Now, you guys have a tagline, transforming visions into business realities. Unpack that for us. What does that mean to you? What are you hoping to help people achieve?
Yeah. So when I meet someone new, a potential client, or even just in a networking event, and I'm sharing what I do, my first question that I think, or my first thought that I give out is, imagine that it's not 2025 and that it's really 2028 or 2030. And it's, let's say, so we're recording this in December of 2025. So imagine that it's December of 2030. And tell me about the year. Where did you go on vacation? Where do you live? What's your personal life? Do you have children? Do you have new grandchildren? And what about your business? What does your business look like? What's the revenue? How many clients do you have? How much have you grown? Okay, now we're back in 2025. let me help you get there. Let's put together a strategic business plan that can help you get to the vision you just shared with me. Maybe you hadn't even thought about it before today.
Right.
But now you're thinking about what life could look like in 3 years or in 5 years. And let me help you get there with a strategic business plan.
Now, you came from the corporate world, which I did as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was my initial career out of college, was the corporate world. Very different being a small business owner, an entrepreneur.
Yes.
Do you feel like your 350 decades of experience in the corporate world has shaped your coaching business today? Do you think just being a small business yourself at this point, you know, has that shaped it? Like what are your...
Yeah, I think everything that happens in our lives shapes us and creates the person that we are at the time that we're sharing with other people. And absolutely, those 350 decades of corporate experience totally shaped the person that I am today. And every role that I had, whether it was at Farmers or Velocity, every role that I had taught me something new. And I'll give you an example. When the last role that I had at Farmers, I was the director of community relations, which meant that I was helping with the volunteer efforts. I was helping to decide where the corporation was going to donate its money. But what's interesting about the role of community relations, and this is not just Farmers, this is a lot of corporations, they don't know where to stick it because it doesn't belong anywhere. It doesn't necessarily help with revenue. It helps with that the soft part of the organization. And so I had the same role for 10 years. And at one point I was in communications. At one point I was in marketing. At one point I was in legs and regs, or legislation and regulation. And at one point I was in HR, human resources. And what was nice about that, what was helpful, was I learned a little bit about every one of those departments. And when I played a role in marketing, again, I was still the director of community relations, but I looked at it with a different lens. I looked at it from a marketing lens versus an HR lens, or a regulations lens, or a communications lens. And even though the role didn't change, how I approached the role changed a little bit, but it also helped me understand what marketing was like. I learned so much when I was in that marketing department that I was able to take that with me and help. When I was at Velocity, one of my roles was the VP of marketing, and I helped rebrand the organization. I learned graphic design. I didn't know anything about graphic design, and I learned graphic design. So as I grew and evolved in my role, I learned new things, and I was able to take all of those things with me, all that knowledge and learning, and apply it in my coaching business.
How does somebody know that they need you?
I do a lot of marketing and networking, and I meet a lot of people either through LinkedIn, or I find connections who introduce me to other connections.
Right.
And so I just find people, a lot of it is through networking. I do a lot of networking.
So if somebody's watching right now and they have a small business or medium-sized business, at what point in their process do they go, hey, I need to talk to Doris?
I would say the best time is if you're stuck, if you're just not sure how to move forward. So you know that you have this vision or this idea that you've set for yourself or your business, but you're not sure how to get there. You feel like you're just a little bit stuck. Let's say you want to move from $1 million of revenue to $2 million of revenue. You know that you can get there. You're just not sure how to do it. And one of the things that a coach can do, and I may not know a lot about the business itself,
okay,
but I can ask a lot of curious questions. I can ask the right questions because the business owner probably knows what they need to do. They just don't know how to get those thoughts organized, put them on paper, get strategic about it.
They're so focused on today's business.
Exactly. And that's such a great segue into a point I was going to make anyway. I was talking to a client not too long ago, and he's currently a partner with someone, but he's going to take over the ownership of the business. And when I asked him that question, where do you see yourself in 3 years? One of the things he said, I spend so much time working on what's important today. I don't do a lot of forward thinking, and I need to do that forward thinking. And so the reason that he hired me is I can help him with that forward thinking, and I'm going to be his accountability partner. So after we put that plan together, a lot of people think, well, all right, I just need someone to help me put the plan together and then I'll handle it. Well, think about any sports related coach or any other time where you want to move forward. You need an accountability partner, whether
Right.
you're trying to run a 5K or you're trying to lose some weight or you're trying to build a business. You need somebody that can hold you accountable for the things that you know that you need to do, but you're not sure, number one, how to do it, and number two, you might not do it on your own.
Right.
We talk about this a lot with small business owners all the time, and we talk about it on this podcast. We just friends in general sitting around at dinner. Generally, if you're a small business owner, the conversation kind of goes back to that in some way. And we all deal with kind of the same things. I think a lot of people get into business from a trade or from a career perspective where they've got a skill, but that doesn't always translate into understanding how to run a business. There's just so many different aspects you've got to figure out and understand. What are some of the blind spots you typically see organizations running up against?
Well, I think you kind of said it right there, is people get passionate about starting something. They get passionate about creating a widget, whatever it might be, or creating in the insurance world, they might get passionate about helping people in the insurance. They know that people need auto insurance, life insurance, homeowners insurance, whatever it might be. And they feel passionate about it. Maybe they even had a little training or they were a customer service rep and they feel like, yes, they can do it, but they don't understand the business. They know how to sell. They know the product, but they don't understand the business. And that can be said for really any kind of business that you might have. You understand and you have passion about that thing, but you don't know how to move it forward. Again, using that word stuck, they're just not sure how to move forward.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that I think over and over again, I hear, business owners talking about is personnel, staffing. Like, it is just so difficult to figure out. You've done some work with employee engagement and culture building. What's the biggest factor in sustaining engagement from your people long term?
Listening to them, really understanding what their passions are, why they're there, why they want to be there, how they want to help the business grow, and just having conversations with them, having regular one-on-one conversations, really listening to them, doing those surveys. So that one big thing that we did at one of the organizations, we did surveys and we paid attention to the results of the surveys. I know sometimes organizations, they feel like, okay, culture isn't so good, let's do a survey. They do the survey, but they don't really want to know those results. They look at the results and they either don't believe them or they don't want to fix what's wrong with the organization. And let's use an example of training. So maybe the culture or the survey came back saying, we're not doing as good of a job of onboarding, of doing that training, that initial training of our employees, and they're leaving quickly because they don't feel like they either know what to do, they don't know how to do it, they're not getting the support from their managers. And rather than trying to fix the problem, they might just try to slip it under the rug. Well, that's not the real problem. They're not listening to the results. And so that would be one of the things that, whether it's owners or managers need to do, is truly listen and find out what motivates your people, and then try to do as much as you can to help move that motivation along and support them where they want to be supported and help them grow.
How do you balance that people development versus performance expectations?
I think you need the employees also need to buy into those performance expectations. So start the year understanding, well, what do you need? What does this employee need to do or define success together? Let me say it that way, that the employee and the employer understand what success is and what that looks like on both sides, from the employer side and the employee side, and make sure that the employee is engaged enough to buy into that success. And that success should include professional development. If that employee needs some training of some sort, needs it could be anything. It really could be any type of personal development. It might even be, it be a college degree. It might be a certification. It might be learning how to work with people. Sometimes you have an employee that all of a sudden they're sprung on to being a manager. They were really good at building widgets, and they were so good at building widgets that we're going to promote them up to manager, and they have no idea how to be a manager, and they fail at being a manager. Well, support that employee at being a manager and understand that they don't have everything. They don't have the skill sets to be the best manager that they can be. They were great at building widgets, but they might not be great at being a manager. So support them where they are. Find out what they need to move them forward to be a successful employee.
So talk to us a little bit about Leaderish. What led you to start that podcast, and kind of what's the purpose of that, and where's that going?
That it's a funny story.
We like funny stories.
And it's a funny story on several grounds. And that is, I truly believe that we are all exactly where we need to be at the time that we need to be there. And in the early parts of 2024, I had envisioned that I wanted to have a podcast before the end of the year. So even though I didn't have a physical vision board in my head, that was one of the items on my vision board, was having a podcast or starting a podcast. And through networking events, I wound up at a walk. So one of the Women Connect is another networking group that I'm a part of. And one of the women in Women Connect does a weekly walk. And I was part of her weekly walk one Wednesday, and my co-host Regina happened to be there on one of those walks. And we're not there that often. So we both happened to be there on the same day. And we just started talking and realizing that we had a true connection, a true friendship. And after the walk was over, we knew we needed to grab coffee. So we got coffee the following week. That coffee, after 2 hours, we said, all right, we have to continue the conversation the next week. So we got on a Zoom call. And that was when I found out that she had a podcast that she had to let go because her original co-host had to leave the podcast. And we just started talking about it. And I literally raised my hand on the Zoom call and said, I could help you revamp that podcast. And we did. And so in July of 2024 is when we relaunched that podcast with me and Regina. And we even had the former co-host on to kind of hand the reins over to the two new co-hosts of the podcast. And we usually do about one episode every other week. And we've been pretty faithful. We're going to skip December and start again in January with a whole new line of things that we want to talk about.
It's great.
You talk a lot about leadership resilience. What does that mean to you right today? What's leadership resilience?
I think resilience is being able to deal with the messy middle, deal with some of the mess that you might face, whether you're an entrepreneur or an employee at an organization or the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar corporation. There's always going to be something that distracts you, something that's messy, something that you have to muddle through. And for me, resilience is being able to approach every day as a new day. Let's forget about whatever the mess was that happened yesterday and be able to move forward and be able to think about what are those goals, and don't let the distractions of the past distract us. Okay, that's way too many times using the word distraction.
No.
But being able to getting through the mess. And I think there's a lot of times there's mess. There could be mess from employees, mess from the economy, mess from life, exactly, even personal things that might happen in someone's life. And being able to set that aside, put it in a basket on the door, walk into your office, whether it's your home office or your corporate office, and be able to approach the day with the right mindset. I talk a lot about mindset in the blogs that I write, and even on the podcast, we talk about mindset and how important it is to shift your mindset to one that can move you forward, so you can focus on the things that are important and move those non-important things aside.
So you raised your hand to get involved with this podcast. I know we've kind of run into each other in various places, around the community. You seem to be so involved in so many things. Nashville, I think, just I can't remember what the article was, but it was named like the number 3 city in the world for like a collaborative environment. We talk about this a lot too with a bunch of people, how Nashville is so collaborative. Do you think that impacts, when you're talking to businesses here versus anywhere else? Does that tweak what your conversations are at all, or?
I don't know if Nashville necessarily tweaks my conversations, but I do love the city. And I can tell you another fun story about Nashville and how I moved to why Nashville.
Yeah, do tell.
Why I'm here. And it's back in the early 90s. This was back in my farmer's insurance days, and I was living in Columbus, Ohio, which is enemy territory for a Wolverine. I was living in Columbus. It really is a great city, though. All kidding aside, I really enjoyed the time that I spent there. And I needed to visit Nashville to train agents. It was a commercial school that I was hosting, and I was here for 1 week, and I fell in love with it in 1 week. It was love at first sight.
Easy to do.
And I said, I must live here, and manifested it. And a year later, I was here. And I met my husband, and we had a wonderful life until and before we were married, I told him, I said, we might have to move to California. That's where the farmers corporate headquarters are. And sure enough, we wound up moving there for 17 years, but we always knew we wanted to come back. And in 2018, we made the move back to Nashville, and we don't plan on living.
Well, that was a good time to come from California before everything hit.
Before everything hit.
Yeah.
Yes. It was the perfect time.
Perfect timing.
Great neighborhood, great everything. And I do think Nashville is a melting pot. There are so many people from so many different areas. I think back in the 90s, maybe not so much. It still felt like a little big town or a big little town, or however you want to approach it.
Sure.
That feeling is maybe not quite there as much anymore. It feels like a bigger city today. But there's so many wonderful, warm people that are very giving and want to give of themselves, that want to help other small businesses, other entrepreneurs. And I do find that I feel very welcome when I attend networking events in Nashville. That's not to say I don't feel welcome when I attend networking events in other cities.
Right.
But this is my city. I love it here, and I love the people, and it's wonderful.
Well, speaking of giving, tell us about this Tiffany Circle.
Yes.
We got one of our own joining you. So what is that? Another,
I guess, kismet moment.
Yeah.
Another networking event, and another funny story. I went to and of course I met Steve a few times, but I hadn't met your wife.
Right.
And I was going to a networking event, and
I didn't know y'all met first. I thought we met her through Ashley.
No.
We probably met about a year ago, I think.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Probably. And I think it might have been.
Giving Ashley all the credit.
She always takes all the credit.
She gets all the credit.
That's all right. She deserves it.
She does. She does.
Anyway, I was at a networking event, and I wasn't the person in charge thought I had canceled my reservation. And so she had to randomly put me in with another group of people. And that random group happened to include Steve and Ashley. And we connected kind of like my podcast co-host. We connected right away. We shared stories, and somehow the conversation moved to Red Cross. I guess I wear a Red Cross hat a lot.
Okay.
I'm part of the board. I'm part of the Tiffany Circle. I have been a Red Crosser for, I guess, 400 decades.
Wow.
Like my 300.
You said you were involved when you were 13 or 14.
That's right.
I've been involved with them for a very, very long time. So it's not surprising that the conversation moved to the Red Cross. And Ashley shared your story, Steve, and it was so moving to me that I immediately had to say, there's an event you need to come with me for this Tiffany Circle event. And so she joined me for a Tiffany Circle event, and it was their fall luncheon that they had. And I could tell that she was very, again, moved by the organization. And, she saved your life, Steve. And
Right.
I mean, that story, I don't know if you've ever told that story on the podcast, but it's
probably not in full on this podcast, but
he shared bits and pieces.
Bits and pieces, yeah.
It's a super powerful story. And I think the most powerful thing is when, you were dead. The neurologist said, you're not going to make it. And Ashley said, you don't know my Steve and you don't know my God.
That's right.
And here you are today. And it's just, I'm going to start crying as I think about it because it's such a moving story. But a lot of that started because she gave her very first blood donation to save your life.
Yeah, and we didn't even know that a directed donation was a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You can go in and specify, like, I want this to go to my husband. Or
he even got a little of this in him. Look out.
I got some got some of Van's wife, Carrie.
That's right.
I love it.
I had 10 blood transfusions through it all. So, we became very big fans of Red Cross after going through that.
Yeah. But what I love, though, is it didn't just stop with you. Yeah. She realized how important, all of you realized how important it is to save a life through a 5-minute blood donation.
Yeah.
And that every pint of blood can save up to 3 lives. And so I can go on and on about blood transfusions, or not transfusions, just the donations and donating platelets and donating plasma and donating power. I can go on and on. That's not what this podcast is about. I don't want to take up a lot of time, but yes, you can tell I'm very passionate about it. And I am very excited that Ashley is going to join the Tiffany Circle. And the Tiffany Circle to give is part of the American Red Cross. And it's a group of philanthropic women who feel passionate about the Red Cross and give of their time, talent, and treasure. And they're a part of this organization. And what's exciting, Nashville, is we go back and forth between second and third largest chapter in the country.
Is that right?
Between the largest, I believe, is Los Angeles, which I was a member of the Los Angeles chapter when I was there, when I was with farmers, that part of my corporate world. And the Florida chapter and the Nashville chapter go neck and neck on who has the most members. And I believe right now Nashville is number 2, but we're either number 2 or number 3 at any given time. And it's an amazing chapter. We like to do a lot of different activities like blood drives. We just hosted a blood drive last week, and thank you for your donation.
Of course.
And we like to do things for the veterans. We do snack packs. I know Ashley was at the snack pack event where they put together snack packs for the veterans. We sign cards for the veterans. And that's part of the 5 lines of service of the American Red Cross is service to armed forces. That's one of the 5, along with the blood and disaster and international services and training.
Very cool.
I will say for people watching or listening, donating blood is nothing to be like afraid of or freaked out by. Like, it's so easy, you're in and out in 15 minutes, maybe. Ashley and I have this thing we do. We compete.
No. Well, y'all compete about everything.
So we always are seeing who has the best blood pressure, who has the highest hemoglobin, and then who can pump it out fastest.
Unbelievable.
Okay, well, all right, hold on. The hemoglobin, you don't have a lot of control over. Maybe how fast.
That doesn't matter. The reason we compete on that is because when I was in the hospital, like I was anemic. During obviously as I was going through transfusions, but so my hemoglobin levels were I think like 7 for a long time, which is not good.
No, that's
so
good.
I always win the hemoglobin,
Of
but
course you do.
men's typically.
I see.
She always kills me on the blood pressure.
Well, of course.
So that evens out. So really,
she's a runner.
The competition really should be how quickly. So
that's
I'm guessing
that's the main
4.5, 5.5 minutes.
No, like
Listen
350. That was my score the other day. It was 350. She was, I think, 415. So that I usually don't beat her by that big of a margin, but I think I beat her more than I used to her.
I did that one time. I was competing and I passed out. So I quit competing.
Yeah, you shouldn't compete.
Yeah.
But you mentioned people are freaked out about, or
Yeah.
people don't like needles. My response to that is that cancer patients don't like needles, accident victims don't like needles, COVID patients don't like needles.
That's right.
Nobody likes needles. You don't do it because you like needles. You do it because you're giving back to another human being.
I don't like needles. I can't watch. Right. And I can't see if I see my own blood, it freaks me out. But I'm happy to do it. I just look the other way. I always tell them when they're doing it, I say, I just can't watch. I can't watch. They said, okay, don't look.
See, I've been poked so many times at this point. I'm like, whatever. I mean,
but the cookies are good. And
you didn't need me to do it. I'll just pop it in for you.
I couldn't do that. Couldn't do that. But no, they're very good. If you're squeamish, they're very good. They take care of you.
Great snacks, stocks.
Yeah, that's right. Great snacks.
You get something pretty much every time you go.
Yeah, the swag's pretty good. And if you start donating platelets, the swag's even better.
Oh,
yeah. Really good.
Yeah.
Really good platelets.
That is definitely more of a commitment.
Yes.
Tell what's involved with that? I've never done that.
That is yours. I take a little longer. Maybe again, I'm being a woman. Women take a little bit longer than the men. I know. Yes, you'd beat me on that competition too. But I'm usually there 90 minutes to 2 hours, needles and arms.
Yeah. That's for platelets.
That is for platelets. And that doesn't include the health screening and all the core stuff. But what they do is they take the blood out of one arm, put it through an apheresis machine. They take out your platelets, and then they put the blood back in your arm. Yeah. So it takes a little bit longer because they're processing.
Why are they putting it back?
Because they're looking for are the platelets.
They can't just take the blood and separate it.
No, they can, but it's a lot more efficient to do it through the apheresis machine. Yeah. And you can donate platelets every 7 days. So your body regenerates platelets that quickly.
Wow.
And I think platelets is a big thing for cancer patients.
It is a very big thing for me. And I lost my mom to breast cancer when I was 14. And so I'd always vowed, that's one of the reasons I'm so passionate about it, is she needed a lot of blood the last month of her life. I always vowed I would give that back. Now it took me many years to donate platelets. Mm-hmm. But once I started doing that, I realized it's not that hard. You watch movies or TV shows.
Gotcha.
They have a good Netflix channel.
Yeah.
That's cool.
You got to block off a couple of hours for that.
I block off. Yes, I'm usually block off a whole Sunday afternoon or a Friday afternoon. It takes about 4 hours between the drive from door to door, driving to the center, health screening, doing the donation.
Do you have to make an appointment?
Yes, you do. For platelets, you need to make an appointment because they base the number of phlebotomists that are on duty based on the schedule that they anticipate the next day.
Gotcha.
I think the time before last was the first time I'd finally got to the point where I had given more back than I had received in the hospital.
Wow.
So it's like, I finally made it past that point.
That's cool.
That's really amazing.
Yeah. Ashley has given more than me because she was giving it throughout the time that I was in the hospital.
She watches for the date where she can do it again, and she's right on it.
Every 56 dayer.
Yeah.
I love it. Yes.
Pretty consistent with it. So. Well, back to Dunn Wise. What's next for Dunn Wise? What are your goals? What do you
2028 look for you?
Well, let me start with 2026.
Yeah.
One of my goals in 2026 is to write a book.
Oh,
and
Ashley's got that done too.
Yeah, she just finished her book actually. Yeah.
I love that. I think there are so many people that say everyone should write a book.
People say.
Everyone has a book inside of them. Everyone has a story or multiple stories. And I started writing my weekly blog over a year ago. So I know I have a lot of stories already there that just need to be organized. One of the things that I'm looking for are other people's stories. And I mentioned mindset. And I realized after I'd been writing my blog about a year, that the central theme throughout my blog is mindset and overcoming challenges and overcoming adversity. And I know there are other people have very similar stories. And I want to hear those stories. So one of the things I'm going to send out something, if you look for me on LinkedIn and you think, I've got a great story I need to share with Doris, I want to hear those stories.
Cool.
And it doesn't, if you don't want your name in it, I don't necessarily need names. If you want your name, that's great. But I want to hear about the challenges that you've overcome or the goals that you set for yourself, and you were so focused on those goals that you overcame, again, adversity, or you overcame hurdles and obstacles to achieve the success that you have. How did you get so focused? Or on the reverse, then maybe there were challenges that you had to overcome. And what were those challenges and what did you do? And I want to hear those stories. And I know they're out there, and I know a lot of that has to do with mindset. And that's what my book's going to be about, is mindset.
Awesome. Well, you mentioned LinkedIn. What are the best ways for people to reach out to you, get a hold of you, if they need you for coaching, or if they have a story for you, or if they want to know more about Tiffany Circle?
That's right.
Any of the above, yes. They can reach out to me on LinkedIn. That's a great place to find me. I also have a website, dunnwise.com. And
that's DUNN.
That's DUNN, DUNNWISE. And there is a contact form on that. They can sign up for my newsletter /blog, and they can reach out to me through contact form. They can also see all the different services that I have. And LinkedIn is another great place. Those are my two favorite places to be.
And podcast, I'm sure, is on all the podcast platforms.
Yes. Yep. It sure is.
What's the name of your podcast?
Leaderish.
Leaderish.
Oh, Leaderish. Oh, yeah. We talked about that.
Where you been?
Leaderish. Where was I? I'm just sitting here thinking about platelets, I've never done that.
Well, Doris, it was an absolute pleasure having you today. I appreciate you coming by.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
And I know Ashley is very much looking forward to diving into Tiffany Circle.
Yes, she is.
Yes. Well, I will. She'll come to lots of stuff. There will be a lot of things to do in 2026 with Tiffany Circle. And yes, I'm excited to see what that brings, what happens with the Red Cross in 2026, as well as Dunn Wise, as well as Cord Real Estate.
Hey.
Absolutely.
I like the sound of that.
Well, with that, we will see you guys next time.
All right. Thank you.
Well, that's a wrap on today's episode of Behind the Curtain, Nashville's Movers, Shakers,
and Tastemakers.
We hope you've been inspired by the stories of passion, perseverance, and innovation right here in Nashville.
A big thank you to our guests for sharing their journeys, and to you, our listeners, for joining us. And of course, our gratitude to Cord Real Estate for making this conversation possible.
Don't forget to follow or subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform.
Thank us?
Yes, you did.
Oh, I guess I did. Well, thank us. Okay.
Like I was saying.
Oh, yeah.
Don't forget to follow or subscribe on your favorite platform to catch every episode, and hit that notification bell. We've got plenty more fascinating guests lined up, ready to share their insights and inspirations.
And we love hearing from you, so reach out to us with your thoughts, questions, or suggestions for who you'd like to hear from next.
Until next time, keep chasing your dreams and making your mark in Nashville.
Oh, my goodness.
Remember,
I'm talking to Casey
it's the people behind the scenes that make the city shine.